and we will cover today the next wave of innovation, talking about gateway, talking about also some other solutions, talking about Windows Phone, Windows 8, and exciting solutions. Now I will leave the floor to Mirek Nowak from Microsoft, who will start this presentation. Thank you. We wish you a good webinar.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mirek Nowak. I work at Microsoft on the DPE team. Today I'm going to go over a number of the innovative technology waves that SAP and Microsoft are working on together to give people an idea of what's coming in the next few years. Next slide, please. DPE, for those that aren't aware, is a group within Microsoft that is responsible for working with key partners such as SAP to ensure that they're enabled to take advantage of the next wave of technologies that Microsoft is working on. So with this first slide, I'm giving you an idea of some of the waves, if you will, that DPE is working on in these next few years. We have three imperatives that we're working towards. One is to lead the shift to the cloud through Azure. We're looking to reinvigorate the Windows client, and you'll see that through both Windows 8 and Windows Phone. And of course, grow Tier 1 enterprise applications, and there's really no greater Tier 1 enterprise application than of course SAP. This is a multi-year journey. Of course, a lot of these technologies are new. So, for example, Windows Phone and Azure have recently come to market, and again, we're looking to initiate projects with SAP to grow these specific areas and provide all of the engineering, training, and development support that SAP needs to be able to take advantage of these great innovations from Microsoft to create some true excitement in the market, and to provide the Unite partners with an idea of where they should probably be investing some of their forward-looking skills and capacity for some of these next waves. Specifically within our focus here today, and my specific focus is the SAP areas of innovation that we'll be working on for 2012. So I'm sharing with everyone today an area that is obviously probably the biggest one, and that is, of course, that shift to the cloud. Windows Azure is an area that we have a number of work streams that we're working on together with SAP, specifically the gateway, which Andre will be talking about in the second half of this presentation, to get an idea for what gateway is and, of course, how it's related to Duet. Windows Phone 7. Windows Phone 7 Mango is released not too long ago, and we're imminent to see the first SAP application enter the market here pretty soon. It was just announced in Madrid, and I'll get to that in a moment. There's a lot of momentum building around Windows 8, not only in the marketplace, but also within SAP, and I'll go over that today. Some unexpected innovations in this space, such as the Kinect. So that same device that we see on Xbox that has generated not only a lot of buzz, but a Guinness Book of World Record in terms of sales, is also starting to find a way to the enterprise, and these are being demonstrated at SAP Sapphires and SAP TechEds, and I'll go over some of those innovations there. In a previous webinar, of course, you've seen some of the great work that's already being done on SQL Server Denali. And as well, I just wanted to make a quick plug for the SAP Microsoft Customer Advisory Board that's coming to Redmond February 7th and 8th. This is an area for Microsoft SAP customers to be able to come collaborate and really get an understanding of what is coming next, and to be able to share some of the best practices. So, for example, something like SQL Denali will be a big topic there, Duet, SharePoint integrations, Windows Phone integrations, how Microsoft IT is using SAP, etc. So again, that's coming February 7th. Please ping me later if there's some more details that are needed there. With Azure, again, this is probably one of the largest focuses for DPE and this fiscal year, if not for the next few. And I'm giving you an idea here of a number of the projects that we're working on together with SAP. The most important one is definitely the first. I mean, really at the end of the day, the task of getting an SAP workload into Azure is something that's going to take a number of iterations just based on the size of the workload that SAP runs. It's mission critical. There's a number of different checkpoints that we need to cross there. So the most logical starting point that we'd like to get customers to in the short term is to get non-productive SAP systems into the cloud. So by that, we're talking about sandbox systems, training systems, demo systems, etc. The project that is being funded in Waldorf there is specifically around that. We have a full-time development team, plus some augmented resources there that are not only working on, of course, Windows Server, SQL Denali to make sure that those releases land correctly, but also exploration work being done on Azure to document and basically document a white paper that's going to give prescriptive guidance on how customers will be able to use Azure today. And of course, this will be iterated over time as we're able to move from non-productive workloads and then in the midterm into productive workloads. So again, that's that first project there around SAP NetWeaver and Azure VM roles. So again, look for those white papers sometime in the spring to early summer on that prescriptive guidance. As another couple of projects that I'm just going to mention here briefly, there's also work being done on SAP's demo systems under the Business Analytics Group, evaluating Azure for potential use cases there. Again, it's about really getting Azure into the hands of SAP to become familiar with it, provide that feedback back and forth, etc. As well with business objects in a related project is the business objects workloads are less than, in some cases, than the SAP workloads, so those could move productively into Azure a little sooner. Windows Phone, there's some great excitement around Windows Phone at the Sapphire in Madrid. This was the first place where we saw the by design application. This is a CRM-based application that allows by design customers to have a Windows Phone 7 client available. There's some last-minute localizations that have been going on and some validations. We expect to see this application published very shortly. Please keep your eyes open for that around the Zune Marketplace as well as on the SAP websites around their mobile apps. Again, this is something that has been in works for well over a year now, so we're quite excited to get the first SAP Windows Phone 7 application out to market. There's a great amount of interest involved in Windows Phone 7 at SAP. What I've listed here are some of the other areas that SAP is investigating for Windows Phone 7 applications. Line of business applications, for example, the processes of moving an expense report forward or a business process forward, being able to display business intelligence through business objects, collaborative workflows through Streamwork, enabling the partner communities both through NetWeaver Gateway and Business One are some of the areas where we're working with SAP specifically around building some Windows Phone 7 applications. So again, look for those later this spring and early this summer. As well, there's some work being done with the Sybase Afaria and Sybase Unwired platform. Timeframes are not quite known yet there. However, the point there is that there will be support in the not too distant future for Sybase in some way, shape, or form. We're looking for feedback there. One of the things that I do want to leave the Unite partners with is there's an opportunity right now to start building some Windows Phone applications. What we're hearing from SAP specifically is, what we're hearing specifically from SAP customers is demand for some of these Windows Phone applications. So in the very short term, I do see the need for Duet Enterprise Solution templates to be translated onto a Windows Phone 7. So again, this is an area where not only will Microsoft be happy to see that, but SAP as well. There'll be some probably opportunities to display that. Some details on the SAP NetWeaver Gateway. SAP NetWeaver Gateway SDK for Azure. One of the big areas that Andre will get into is some of the architecture for Gateway. But what I wanted to give an idea of is how a Gateway and Azure application could work together. The two companies are jointly collaborating today with the goal of providing an SDK for Azure, leveraging OData as best possible. Today, there's some work that can be done already out of the box with OData, but what we're looking to do is formalize that, provide some documentation, some POCs for authorizations and authentications. We're looking to provide this in a plugin through Visual Studio to give a native developer experience in Visual Studio. One of the first pieces of this project that is available publicly today, and again, Andre will hopefully touch on this as well, is an SAP NetWeaver Gateway prepackaged trial version. This is available today. The link is located on your screen there. And what this is an ability for you to quickly download the Microsoft bits and the SAP bits and then join them together. So what that really is using Hyper-V, you'll be able to plug in a Windows Server and SQL Server virtual machine, and on top of that, you'll be able to join an SAP Gateway virtual hard drive, and then a script will join the two together, and you'll be up and productive in hours instead of taking some time to be able to install that. So look to that as a starting point for Gateway. On to the next slide with Windows 8. Again, Windows 8 has really started to show some immense traction in the marketplace, and you'll see this not only in a lot of the presentations from Build, which I do recommend all of you to watch. SAP has made a large investment here in sending a number of engineers to the Build conference. The sessions have been delivered in Waldorf and in Shanghai to engineering teams. Over 100 people so far have attended these Build sessions from the NetWeaver team, SAP GUI team, the By Design team, Business One team, general sessions across engineering. Future sessions are being planned for Palo Alto and Vancouver. The point here is that what SAP and Microsoft together are working to get ahead of the curve with what's going to be available with Windows 8. Again, it's a big shift. So another call out to Unite partners is start early, get an understanding for what Windows 8 is, view the content on the buildwindows.com site, and again, with the Metro UI, there's a shift here in what will be possible on these Slate devices, on these Windows Slate devices. There's classic desktops. The work is being done again with SAP to get them ahead of the curve, so I do recommend that the Unite partners also take a look at what is coming next with Windows 8. Finally, a bit of a fun one, the Connect. This is something that SAP independently built, what I like to call a Minority Report style demo. So if any of you have seen the Tom Cruise movie Minority Report, I'm sure you can remember some scenes where using hand gestures alone, you're able to navigate through data and through computer systems. So what the SAP Marketing Group has done is built a Minority Report style demonstration utilizing a Connect to navigate with hand gestures through HANA, so that the in-memory appliance, to be able to look at some nice reports. If you want to get a quick look at that, if you do a YouTube search on Connect and HANA, you'll be able to view what that demonstration looks like. Again, an example of some of the future collaborations that will be possible with a Connect in the business sense. This has started to take off within SAP in a research sense, in a way. There's different works around Streamwork and an innovative whiteboard, if you will, so Scrum boards and being able to pass different notes and move statuses back and forth virtually. Two areas where SAP is quite interested in doing some work is in very clean environments and very dirty environments. And by very clean, I mean pharmaceuticals, labs, hospitals, where you're not really allowed to even touch the screen. They're clean rooms or people are wearing suits that prevent them from touching it. So gesture environments where you could navigate through reports, where you could interact with your SAP systems, again, using motion gestures, not just touch. And similarly with very dirty environments, mining, manufacturing, etc., where again, people are in an environment where the screens will get damaged or dirty, so being able to use gestures to navigate there. So this is an area where I do call out as well for being able to just put some thought into it. There's definitely a lot of this that gets shown at the shows. The marketing groups have been showing this specific Minority Report demonstration at Sapphire in Madrid. They also showed it back in Orlando. They showed it at both the tech eds. Through the conversations I've had with the marketing team, they're always looking for some new ideas here to be able to do that. So any inspiration will definitely get some Ignite partners some visibility at these events in the future. And with that,
so thank you, Mirek. We're going to open up the floor, and I have just taken everyone off mute to go ahead and ask any questions that you might have about the items that Mirek has just presented, and then we will move forward with our next presenter, Andre Fischer from SAP. All right, so we will go ahead.
So, okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I know that was me, Andre, so I just wanted to ask whether I should proceed now.
Yes, let me go ahead and put the audience on mute again. Very good. And Andre, with that, we'll go ahead and ask that you take control of the presentation, and we'll go ahead and move forward with your section on Gateway.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I just unmuted myself. So my name is Andre Fischer. I'm working in the solution management team for the product SAP NetWeaver Gateway. And what this product is about and how it relates to Microsoft technology, I would like to show you here in this presentation. So first of all, I would like to explain why we have built a product like SAP NetWeaver Gateway. So you see here the SAP Business Suite and several potential consumers that would like to consume data from the SAP Business Suite, be it browser-based applications or social network applications or mobile devices, then applications like SharePoint or enterprise software, Microsoft Office are potential consumers, also Azure, as Mirek pointed out, and other consumer devices. So in order to have such, to enable such a consumption, one needs an open protocol. So integrations as they are shown here are already now possible, but then mostly point-to-point connections, so that that the connection is just implemented for one type of integration. And we are talking about services that are, we call it people-centric, so we are talking about UI-based consumption. So we are not talking about server-to-server communication, but about applications that are used by normal people to get data out of the SAP backend system. And in order to have these applications, we have to reach out to the SAP to non-SAP developers. So development in SAP is done with SAP means, so SAP technologies, but the non-SAP developers are the ones we would like to address with those services that are easy to consume. So especially the Microsoft developers that have maybe no clue what a so-called BAPI, one of the proprietary interfaces of the SAP backend is. But, and I will come to this later, if it's a simple OData service, then they know how to consume this without any additional explanation and without knowledge of the SAP backend system. And as I said, we are implementing this by providing simple APIs based on the OData protocol, which has been invented by Microsoft and which is made available with an open specification promise, so you are able to use it, and we, the SAP, are able to use this. And our architects have looked into that and found out that the OData protocol is a perfect fit for what we would like to achieve. So, but open up the system could also be a nightmare for IT, because if you do not know who is, let's say, in the end consuming your services, or if it would be totally open, IT would not like to have this. Here, the services are based on SAP technologies, so all the authorization concepts that are in place in your SAP Business Suite backend systems, they still work. And in the end, this will lead to a lower TCO, because especially the costs for development, they will drop. So how do we do this here? So you can think about SAP NetWeaver Gateway as it is depicted here as a separate box in front of the SAP Business Suite. Technically, it's also possible in principle to deploy it in the SAP Business Suite if the Business Suite is running on a very recent release of SAP NetWeaver. However, the idea is to support here this timeless principle, and we don't want to touch maybe the backend system, so we want to enable this simple consumption by not touching the backend. And this is something what our customers are looking for. So having this simple interfaces, we can consume the data from the SAP systems by all these different consumers that are shown above. So for mobile devices especially, SAP recommends to use the SAP Unwide platform, while for the integration with SharePoint, we have a joint product with Microsoft. That's Duet Enterprise. And this takes a lot of burden from the developer that would have otherwise to be implemented manually. So SharePoint provides a framework, Duet Enterprise provides a framework so that SharePoint-based applications can consume gateway services and thus SAP Business Suite data out of the box. So let us dive a little bit deeper in the architecture. So what's really behind this yellow box, the SAP NetWeaver Gateway? So here in brown, you see depicted different parts of SAP NetWeaver Gateway. So we have a design time that allows you to create models that are the basis of such a gateway service in the gateway server. Here we are leveraging existing so-called database providers like BAPIs, RFCs, or even DynPro screens. So you can create gateway services, in this case, based on existing interfaces in the SAP backend, nearly without touching it. So for screen scraping, you would need an add-on, while for BAPI and RFC-based services, for those wizards, you won't need an add-on at all in the backend system. And by this wizards, in the end, you will end up with services that are published by the gateway core, that's the runtime and OData library, as OData services to be consumed by all the different consumers. So there is a second implementation possible. So there the development takes place in the backend, and there is an add-on that has to deploy it on the backend system there in order to provide those interfaces. And there, the models and the service are developed as ABAP classes in the backend, which is a different approach, and this is also liked by the customers because then the lifecycle management is in sync with everything they develop in the SAP backend systems. Technology-wise, the server components are based on NetWeaver 7.02 SP8, while the backend components are already available for NetWeaver 7.0 SP18. That means, if we look at the SAP Business Suite releases, that all ECC 6.0 systems that are the majority of SAP Business systems out there can be leveraged here. Okay, next slide. So I've talked a little bit about the OData protocol. What is the OData protocol? And there is a nice definition, so that the OData protocol is a web protocol that allows querying and updating data, and a very nice term I found is ODBC for the web. So like with ODBC, which is Open Database Connectivity, which allows you to connect to different types of databases, so from different vendors. If you have such a connector, the developer can consume a SQL Server database the same way like an Access database. The SDKs that are available for OData do the same, so the front-end developer can access the data nearly simply like an Access database. And technically, this is based on HTTPS communication and the Atom Publishing Protocol. So you will find more information on the odata.org page from where the whole protocol is explained in very much detail. So the OData protocol, technically, as I said, is based on the Atom syndication format, but this is a format you know from news feeds. This is only something you can use to read data. So in order to modify Atom feeds, the Atom Publishing Protocol comes into play. And this would then allow, for example, to change a news feed entry. But this is not enough for business data, and this is why Microsoft has invented the OData protocol. So basically to publish data like that is stored, for example, in SQL Server to the web. And this data is then, this protocol is then based on the Atom Publishing Protocol. What SAP has done is we have added a few annotations in the OData protocol that we leverage for providing additional metadata from the backend, like, for example, information labels, so information that it's translated in the backend system. And a lot of those annotations that you see here that are currently stored in the SAP namespace will make their way in the OData 3.0 protocol. So in the future, most of this currently, the annotations that are stored in SAP namespace will then be available as part of the standard. Technically, everything boils down to the get, put, post, and delete statements, and we are talking about stateless interfaces. So the vision we would like to try to achieve with SAP NetWeaver Gateway is to bring the power of SAP application to any developer with using any experience on any platform. But here especially, we are, since a large part of developers worldwide are using Microsoft technology, we are addressing especially the developers that are leveraging those technologies. So here is an example how a gateway service is created. So we offer, for example, an outside-in approach. That means you can model the service, so create a so-called EDMX document. And this can, for example, be done with Visual Studio. Then you import this into the ABAP stack using the OData generation tool. And then appropriate classes that define the interface are generated, and the only thing that's left for the developer on the ABAP side is to implement so-called data provider classes that retrieve the data from the backend. So core functionalities here that comes with Gateway is this add-on IWBEP. This also allows for backend event provisioning, so the backend can raise events that can then be sent to the consumer. there is a generic workflow support. That workflow that is available in the SAP backend can be consumed via the OData protocol. That's the second part of this core functionalities we offer with SAP NetWeaver Gateway. And then you will find some pre-configured content, so sample services for CRM, HCM, and reporting management. These are available today, and there will be additional services like employee data will become available very soon. And there, customers can use this out of the box, but they can also develop their own services. So one product that is leveraging Gateway already today is Duet Enterprise. So it's a joint product developed by SAP and Microsoft, and there those services that I've mentioned before, they can be leveraged with Duet Enterprise Feature Pack 1. This is running on top of SAP NetWeaver Gateway. So all services that you build in Gateway could then be published with can then be consumed with SharePoint. So this was a short and fast overview of SAP NetWeaver Gateway. I guess.
Thank you very much, Andre. We'll now go ahead and remove the audience off of mute and open the floor for questions and answers to both Mirek and Andre. I see a number of you may need to go ahead and unmute yourselves as well. We've done that here from the main computer, but please go ahead and just click on that little microphone up in the left-hand corner to take yourself off mute and ask any questions that you might have.
While you're searching for the questions you may ask, just to let you know that this webinar was recorded and will be published on our YouTube channel, as mentioned by Midi Bomonsi just there. It will be published on January the 16th on our YouTube channel.
All right. Well, it sounds like there are no further questions for the group. Mirek or Andre, are there any questions that you normally hear that might you feel that maybe we need to go into a little bit more detail since we have a bit of extra time here?
I'll jump in. One of the questions that I hear typically is around Windows Phone 7 and basically some of the strategies around Windows Phone 7 with relation to some of the enterprise applications. With Windows Phone 7, with the first few waves of releases, so the original Windows Phone 7 launch and the recent release of the Mango version, really saw a focus from Microsoft towards getting the consumer experience right. And as such, it was really about that Metro UI. It was really about generating some buzz and making sure that the consumer applications were there. You know, the Facebooks and the Twitters, the gaming. A lot of that social content was seen as key to get generate some momentum and generate some hype and some drive around the platform, and that has definitely seen some pickup. With the next versions of Windows Phone 7 that will be coming, we'll see Microsoft starting to add in some of the enterprise features that are going to be really driving some of these applications that can be possible with SAP, for example. So for those that might have looked at Windows Phone 7 in the original release and might not have looked at Mango yet, I do encourage revisiting the topic because, again, that first impression might have been that it was quite a consumer-focused device. With this specific release and future releases, again, those enterprise features are there. SAP is really starting to invest quite a bit of time and effort into looking at the platform. And with the addition of Windows Slate, so this will be realized through Windows 8. There's an interesting synergy there between the Metro UI. So, and again, I didn't spend as much time on it in my Windows 8 section, but this is another thing that I would definitely call it as a question is what can be done today with Windows 8. Definitely, we're looking at a bit of a paradigm shift, if you will, in how the UI is going to be consumed in those Slate devices. So we've seen a lot of tablets from other companies that have really started to remove some of the UI constraints. So one of the other things that I would recommend to the Unite partners there is please look at the build slides in relation to both Windows 8 and Slate plus traditional PCs. How does that experience change if you wanted to, let's look at an expense report or a vacation request as an example. How does that experience change between each of these devices? And again, Metro will be a way to bind those together. Thank you.
So I see that we have a question through the Instant Messenger asking if we can elaborate on the expected timeframes for Azure and SAP collaboration, and more importantly, certification. Mirek, can you answer that question?
Yes, the timeframes. So just let me understand the question right. So the timeframes for Azure. Yes. Without getting too much into some of the future releases and dates, because those are difficult to discuss, what we are looking at for cloud certification is really as soon as possible. I know that's both quite ambiguous statements in terms of the time frames, but I really do expect that within the spring-summer time frame, we'll have a checkpoint, if you will, a milestone that we'll be able to revisit this. In terms of some of the Azure roadmaps, there are features that are coming soon that will help us address some of the certification expectations. So again, the short answer there is that we're looking to hit that spring time frame. There are some new release pieces of information that are coming, and please check back with me in the spring, and I'll hopefully be able to give some more details there.
And a follow-up question is, would this include Azure Appliance?
Yes, from my understanding at this point, the Azure Appliance and the Azure full in the cloud scenarios will be very much the same. That's something that if you send me an email offline, I can drill into, Don, to be able to be 100% sure about.
Great. Thank you, Mirek. Are there any further questions that we can answer for you?
Yeah, we had a question as well regarding the difference between Duet and Gateway. So, Andre or Mirek, if you want to take this question.
Yeah, I can start. Maybe Mirek can add. So Gateway is part of Duet. So if you buy Duet, you will also buy Gateway as an embedded. So it's embedded in this setup. With Duet, you get especially the integration, so the framework that allows you to consume the gateway services from within SharePoint, for example, with single sign-on, so very easily, so that's very easy to integrate to consume those services using standard web paths. So this is part of the Duet offering. So Gateway as such is also a platform that can then be used by other technologies, maybe if we look on the Microsoft world, like .NET applications or ASP.NET applications, right? So that could also consume Gateway services. but the focus from Duet is mainly the integration into SharePoint.
Thank you.
And I can see that we have a couple of folks who are typing questions. Regarding the Azure SAP solution, what would be the solution if the customer would want to keep their data on-prem or in a private cloud in order to keep legal and regulatory compliance?
That's a great question. One of the big focuses between SAP and Microsoft is to not only work out public cloud scenarios, but also private cloud scenarios. And of course, with that, some of these hybrid scenarios to specifically look at the legal and compliance-related issues. And to be honest, when we're looking at Azure and a large, mature SAP landscape, probably hybrid solutions are going to be the ones that are going to happen first. So, perhaps certain scenarios where, customers looking to interact with a number of different vendors or a number of different customers, some of their SAP applications will fit nicely in the cloud. Some of them will fit better on-prem. So, the real answer there is these work streams are going on in parallel with each other. As we're progressing Azure, we're also looking to progress the Hyper-V story, and again, building out those hybrid scenarios to ensure that customer is able to architect the system to be able to keep data where it needs to reside. Does that answer the question? Thank you.
Very good. Any further questions that we can answer for you while we have these two experts on the line? All right. Andre and Mirek, we'll give you each the floor to wrap up. Are there any final thoughts that you would like to present to this group?
Thank you, Mindy, and thank you, Andre, and Karsten, and Louis. It was my pleasure to present to you today, giving you a sneak peek at what is coming next, not only from Microsoft, but some of the collaborative efforts between Microsoft and SAP. Again, to close, if you've been at a Sapphire or an SAP Tech Ed of late, you've noticed that the themes are very solid. They're about cloud, they're about mobile, and of course they're about in-memory computing. And definitely Microsoft is looking to support those efforts. We've shown a snippet of each, both mobile with Windows 7, cloud obviously with Azure, and with our little Connect talking to a HANA, we have that covered as well. Looking very much towards the Unite community for feedback, ideas, and really to make sure that we're pushing the partnership together. So with that, I want to thank you, and I'll hand it over to Andre.
Yeah, it was also a pleasure for me. So I would like to point also, like what Mirek has shown in the beginning, there is plenty of material available in SDN and on the Microsoft sites to download the products we have been talking today. So you can download this trial version from Gateway based on SQL Server, try it out yourself, and find out what you can do with that, and then hopefully implement this with your customers.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Andre. I see that we do have another question coming through in regards to a roadmap for Duet Enterprise. The two gentlemen that are on our line today are not the best folks to answer that question. We went into a great deal of detail in regards to Duet on our first webinar, which is now posted on our YouTube channel. And so I would direct you there, or please feel free to contact one of us offline, and we'd be happy to provide you with some information and direct you to the appropriate resources for you. I see that there's one more question being typed. While that's being completed, again, just a reminder to please take the survey that we will send over to you just a little bit later today. We will also be sending over a PDF of the, of this presentation, and of course the link will be embedded in there as well as included in the email. We will be sure to include the links to the YouTube channel within the email. You can find us at SAP-Microsoft there if you are looking for us today. So again, thank you very much for joining us today. This will now conclude today's webinar. We will be announcing another one for January shortly, so please look for that invitation to come through your inboxes. And we will talk to you all again in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.